2, 1.
So page 62 is the Pythagorean theorem. You need to know that the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which I'm pretty sure is something that you should have learned in the 8th grade. The c squared is always your hypotenuse, which is across from the right angle. So every time we're working with the Pythagorean theorem or trig functions, I label that first. So I draw a little dotted line from the right angle to the hypotenuse, and I normally label it HYP. Your A value and your B value are the legs. The legs are just the two sides that form the right angle. A is here and B is here for this layout, but it would not matter where you put those numbers in the Pythagorean theorem. These could be switched around. And then we have a Pythagorean triple, and like you defined on page 61, a Pythagorean triple are whole numbers that are always true in the Pythagorean theorem. So a 3, 4, 5 triangle, the hypotenuse is always the longest side, which means the 5 would have to be the hypotenuse, and it would look something maybe like this. And that would always hold true, because 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and 5 squared is 25. So we would get 25 equals 25. So 3, 4, and 5 always work in a right triangle. Multiples also work also, so I want you to add that here too. And what that means is if we had a similar triangle and we took all of the side lengths from this original triangle and multiplied by 2, so like 8, 6, and 10 would also work in the Pythagorean theorem. These numbers are good to know. The ACT loves to use them, and they would give you a problem something like this, let's say with a 9, a 12, and an x, and they would say find x. And if you knew that a 3, 4, 5 worked, and 9 was really 3 times 3, and 12 is really 4 times 3, 3 and 4 would mean this would have to be a 5, and then you'd continue to times by 3. Just something you need to know is the Pythagorean theorem itself. Knowing about the Pythagorean triples makes it easier, but you don't have to memorize them. So make sure on page 62 that you have the notes that you should have copied yesterday, and then this little bit of stuff that I wrote down here, where we labeled the hypotenuse HYP, and then we added that multiples work to next to the Pythagorean triples.